focus and directrix are not used as commonly when we're dealing with, it's not, you know, quadratics, parabolas, vertex axis of symmetry are your major focus points on it. Directrix and focus are not used as often. All they are on this, some definitions for you. Directrix and focus, they're going to be equidistant. And I'm going to draw you some pictures here in a second to show you, but focus is going to be a point that is inside the parabola but doesn't touch it. And then the vertex has to be halfway between the focus and the directrix. So it's just you can actually use the distance formula to find that distance, and it's got to be the same, but we're not going to get that detailed in it. I'm going to draw you some pictures and give you some formulas. We're mostly going to use formulas here. So I've got 4 little pictures I'm going to draw you of the different types that we can be looking at. So let me get 4 axes of symmetry ready. Alright, so I almost wish I would have just taken a picture of this and put it up there. It would have worked a lot better. I'm thinking maybe I'll still just do that. Let me see. Could I do that fast? That's the question. What does that mean? What's the Google today? Who is that?
I have no idea.
Let's click on it and learn something. Pervarian soprano. I guess she was an opera person, maybe. Where'd it go? I just had it. Get that off there. How do I get to flip now? Can I flip it?
I don't think so. Not like that. You have to edit it. Like,
Where at? Right here. I never opened this before, Caitlin. You're about to get me in trouble.
that's not gonna. That's just so you can write on it. That's all it is.
Does it let me flip it? Hey, it flipped there.
Look at it.
Alright, this is what I was fixing to attempt to draw for you, so it's better that we've got it there in a picture. What you need. Here was the 4 axes of symmetry that I was drawing for you. Remember I was telling you that the vertex is halfway between the focus and the directrix, and so that's what you're seeing on that. Directrix is always a line that's perpendicular to your axis of symmetry. So here your focus, the vertex is halfway between. Okay? This stuff here on each of them, the equation and the focus and the directrix, you need the pictures. But this stuff is what we're going to zoom in on the most today. Okay, so copy. I'm going to attempt while you're copying it. You still got to copy it because you know I'm not the best, but I'm going to attempt while you're copying it to put that in your classroom because that would be awesome. So while you're copying it, I'm going to try and we'll see. But you still got to copy in case I screw it up. Alright, I just made an announcement in your classroom and posted it in there, but it's sideways. I don't know if you'll be able to flip it or not. So, but it is in your classroom now in case you need to go back and look at that. You just have to tilt your head sideways. Bless you.
Both of those pictures go with that same equation focus and
Yes, because you got an upside down one. It's just showing you where the focus and Directrix would be. So
Can you zoom in any at all?
I don't know. Let's see. Here's
Yeah,
a zoom
that
in.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Is that better? You may do it again.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Sure, I'm glad I didn't have to draw that.
Wait, so which ones are these equations to? Like, is the equation...
Well, what on the top two are those normal U's and upside down U's. So
Okay.
all of this goes with these two.
Okay.
And then same thing down here.
oh, it's sideways.
Yep. Sideways. Has everybody got at least the top ones done? Okay, that's okay. Just checking. I'll scroll it up when you get ready for the bottom ones. That 1/4 P, and that's the stuff we're going to be using. Where y'all at?
The first, the bottom of the
Everybody still in the top ones? Just want to help the people in the back be able to see all that.
Is that matrix always gonna be x equals negative 2?
Yep. Well, this is really pretty simple because you're just plugging into an equation, plugging a p in.
So like, if like that blue line is like on negative 2, is the
2.
so
P would be 2. Because it's always the opposite since this is negative p.
sign, so
We're going to do something we're going to look at. Just giving everybody a chance to copy their notes down. Is there any way to put that in your classroom? Do you know how to do that? No, there's not any way.
I could say that.
Cool picture, Tyler. That was a cool picture on your screen. Yeah, you can put it.
You gotta say.
Save it in your drive.
You can click on the image. And then I'll click.
We got it? Anybody need another? Okay, you're out. Just checking. I won't be twiddling my thumbs when y'all are ready and ready to go.
how do you say that?
You click on the drive logo up there and save it to your drive. Probably is what you do, Caitlin.
Yeah, I just click on the image and then I'll click and say save image as, and then it pops up with thing, double click, show in folder, and then double click the image and click the image thing.
No, no, I'll get that. I don't like it.
It is very good. Google Drive. It's like actually goes to Google Drive.
Okay. Anybody else not done yet? All right. so you got that in your notes there to look at as we're working problems and answering questions about this stuff. Let's say I've got an equation that says negative 4x equals y squared. Alright, the directions, they say they want me to identify the focus, directrix, and axis of symmetry. Focus, directrix, and axis of symmetry. Okay, so I gotta get this thing ready first. It's not ready to go. What I should notice, and this is what Caitlin or Mason, one of y'all was pointing out earlier, when y'all were copying those notes down, there was a section of sideways parabolas. Remember the bottom one, they were turned sideways. When we are a normal parabola, up and down, our standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's what we've been doing for a few days now. But if we are a sideways parabola, our standard form is x equals ay squared plus by plus c. Okay, that's the difference in a normal one and a sideways one. Okay, so what I first off catch here is that my y is squared. Y squared means it's going to be a sideways one. Everybody with me on that? Okay, so since my y squared is going to be a sideways one, I want to get this thing in standard form, so I want to go ahead and solve it for x. My x is being multiplied by negative 4, so how do I undo multiplication of negative 4? Divide by negative 4. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. So it'll cancel out and just get me y equals, I can just put y squared over negative 4, that's fine. Dividing by negative 4, that's the same as a fourth, isn't it? Everybody okay on how I wrote that? And you could write that different ways. You could just put the y squared over the negative 4. That would be the same thing. Alright. Now, looking down there on the bottom two, because this is a sideways one, first thing I need to figure out, p. And I don't know why they chose p for the variable, but p is going to tell me my focus. Remember, if I'm looking down there in the bottom ones, my focus is p0. So I got to figure out what is in the p spot, and it said x equals 1 over 4 times p y squared. So what could I put in p down here to make this be the same as my equation? Close, super close, David. How do I go? This is a positive 1/4, and mine's a negative 1/4. So I have to put a negative 1 in that p, wouldn't I? So my p is negative 1, which means my focus is negative 1, 0.
So your formula for focus is at bottom of
No, my focus is p0.
No, I know, I'm saying.
I don't have a formula for it. I just found it out of that because it goes with the p. Okay, our directrix. What do we know about our directrix off that bottom chart? Our directrix, it said, is x equals negative p. Well, we just found our p was negative 1. Following? So my p is negative 1. I want negative 1. So my directrix would be x equals 1. I haven't done any math. I've just gotten it out of my formula. The directrix is all when I'm a sideways one. My directrix, it said, is always x equals negative p. So I went to my p, which is negative 1, and made it the opposite sign. Okay, now, axis of symmetry on these sideways ones, if I'm at the origin, and I'm a sideways parabola, going either, it could go either way, axis of symmetry is always got to be right there, doesn't it? So that axis of symmetry is your x-axis. And we'll look later where they're moved off the origin, and it'll be a little bit different. But for right now, that's on the origin, so it would be the x-axis. So all that's doing is checking you to make sure you understand it's a sideways one. Because what would the axis of symmetry be if it's a U or an N and it's at the origin? Right, because it would be your hot dog fold. It would be the Y. I know you're still confused. We're going to do a ton more, so simmer down. There's not anything difficult out of it, though. Okay, let's look at negative 2x equals y squared. Same things. Focus, directrix, and axis of symmetry. Alright, so I want to know, is this thing going to be a normal one, or is it going to be a sideways one? Sideways, and Macy's correct because my y is squared. So it's going to be a sideways. So I already know my axis of symmetry. If I'm at the origin and I'm sideways, my axis of symmetry has to be the x-axis. Okay? Because it would come right through there, right? Axis of symmetry is horizontal. So there's my axis of symmetry. Alright, need to solve it for x, so it's being multiplied by negative 2, which means I would just divide by negative 2. So x is going to equal negative 1/2 y squared. Now get a little bit trickier on this one. On that first one we did, I was nice and put a 4 down there, and the equation has a 4 down there. So I was nice to you. But on this one, I've got negative 1/2. So remember, I'm looking down there. Let me write what you have, what you're looking at in your notes. Alright, I have a 2 when they've got a 4p. Everything else is the same. Negative, negative, 1, 1. Y squared, 4p, 2. Okay, so I've got to figure out what does p have to be. So it's just like a middle school equation. 4p has to equal 2, doesn't it? Because all the rest of that stuff is equal. 1, 1, negative, negative, y squared. So 4p has to equal 2, which means my p has to be 1/2. Right? Everybody okay on that? Now p tells me my stuff. David? Not in this case. Good question, because I was negative already in both of them. Now, when we start answering focus and directrix, we'll have to do some opposite sign stuff. So you're probably already ahead of me. Might be what you're thinking. I'm going a little bit slower. My focus, you wrote down that my focus is going to be P0. So it would be just my P, 1/2 0, right? But here's where the negative comes into play. My directrix, it says, is x equals negative p. I think that's what David was talking about. So x equals negative p, so it'd be negative 1/2. Alright, let's look at this. Everybody got that page? Good? Let's look at this. I've got y equals, that's what we just did. I got a vertex at 0, 0. We're going to do vertex at 0, 0. That's, whoops. That's understood, but I don't know where that went. Vertex at 0, 0. And directrix of x equals negative 3. Alright. So this one we want to identify, we want to write the equation for the parabola. We want to write the equation for the parabola on this one. So my directrix is negative 3, and it says it's x equals negative 3. Looking over there on your chart for directrix, there's one on the y equals, goes with normal ones, right? The x equals goes with the sideways one, so we're down there on the sideways ones, which means my equation that I'm going to write is going to be in the form of x equals negative, no, not negative, I'm about to mess you up. Not, oh, I could have left that, just made it bigger for me. X equals 1/4 p y squared. Okay, Directrix is x equals negative 3, and it tells us that that's the same as negative p. So if negative p is negative 3, what is positive p? 3. So my equation now for my answer, all I got to do is put a 3 in that p spot and simplify. So x would equal 1/4 times 3 y squared, which means be 1/12 y squared. That's it. That was interesting. Okay, going to do the same thing. I'm going to give you a different piece of information this time though. Okay, that time I gave you the Directrix, so this time I'm going to give you the focus. The focus here is -2, 0, and we want to write the equation. Alright, so if my focus, I've been picking on the sideways ones, haven't I? My focus is -2, 0. Looking at your two pieces of info they gave you, if it's 0p, it's normal. If it's p0, it's sideways. So which one would this one be? Sideways, because the 0's second. Okay? Which the only difference that makes in is whether or not our equation is going to say x equals or y equals. So we're going to have sideways, it's going to be x equals 1/4 times p times y squared. So we got to figure our p out. Well, this is easy. It tells us that the focus is p0, so our p is -2. So your equation will be 1/4 times -2, which would be x equals -1/8 y squared. Simple math that you're doing. Confusion comes in looking and seeing which equation am I using. Do I need to use the negative sign or not? Right? Because that time we didn't have to mess with opposites, but when it's focus and Directrix, sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's not, and just plugging it in. I mean, it's always going to come from that 1/4, and there's a proof where that comes from in the distance formula that if we ever have time and you care, I'll show you, but most people don't always like to see the proofs. They just want to know how to plug it in and work. But it's always going to be the 1/4, so it's just going to be the biggest, hardest math you're going to have on that is 4 times something. And y'all can handle 4 times something. All right, let's look at another. Let's do focus of 0. Excuse me, 3/2. Throw a fraction in there and try to see if that makes a difference. All right. Focus of 0, 3/2. The 0 is first in my focus, which means I finally get a normal one, doesn't it? Which means it's going to be y equals, right? You with me?
So would that be vertical?
I'm listening, David.
You just have a coordinate like that, so I always use this
Yes. That's good. Ordered pair, if they give you an ordered pair, it's what David just asked, they give you the focus. If they give you x equals or y equals, they give you the Directrix. Okay? Alright, so on our, make sure you're looking on the top part of your chart now. We've got a normal one. Okay, so my p is going to be 3/2, right? So I put a 3/2 in there. So I just got some crazy fraction work to do on this, because that'll be 1/4 times 3/2 times x squared. So you got to figure out what 4 times 3/2 is. Let me show you the easy way to do that. These diagonal, 4/2 is the same as 2, right? So that's 2 times 3, which is 6. So So y would equal 1/6 x squared.
Did you just change that to decimal place? Like,
You could, but I would never do that. Halves are way easier to do in my head, but you could, yes. I can do halves better than I can do 0.5s, and yes, I know they're the same, but I can just do 4/2 is easier for me. But yes, you could. No problem. No problem. Alright, I'm gonna let you try one. I'm going to give you a focus of 0, -2, a directrix of y equals 2. I want you to write the equation for that. It's number 1, write the equation. Number 2, I'm going to give you an equation. And I want to know what are the focus and directrix. Alright, you got 2 to do. See if you can get them.
We don't know the focus and directrix is good. That's what y equals.
1/8 squared. Alright, I said you were doing them on your own. I'm actually fixing to speed you up because I didn't realize we were about out of time, so I want to get them answered. So on that top one there, we got a focus of 0, -2, so I know that it's going to be a sideways one. I know I'm plugging in, my marker just went off. Let me see if I can. I know I'm just plugging it into, y equals 1/4 p x squared. So my p in that case is -2. So 4 times -2, -1/8 x squared.
Wait, how did you know that was it sideways?
Because the 0 was first. So let's check that. Alright, down here, to get my focus, I got y equals, so again I know it's an a normal parabola, that would be a u. So it is 1/4 times p, so 4p would have to equal 8, right? Means p would be 2. So my focus there would be 0, 2. My directrix would be, good Kylie, y equals -2. Alright, those, and we're not done, we'll review over that at a point, but those are the kinds of lessons that are confusing and easy. Easy because, like I said, the hardest math you did was multiplying or dividing by 4. Confusing just because it's new and you got to make sure you're plugging in the right spot. So we'll spend some more time on that. There is your bell. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow.